Scott, welcome to Automate All the Things. We're so excited to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing
Uh,
really good.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
already got some love in the chat. So we've got Colleen, Penny. Let us know if you're joining us today. If it's your first time here, Automate All the Things is a weekly live stream where we learn how to work smarter, not harder, using no code tools. And I'm so excited to welcome you, Scott, as the Coda guy. So you're committed to Coda. So for folks who don't know you, how about we start with a quick introduction into you, Scott?
Yeah. So my name's Scott. I live over in the Bay Area of California, about an hour south of San Francisco. I initially, my background is I'm actually a public school teacher. I was a public school teacher. So I worked in public high schools working with students with disabilities. And that's actually what got me into Coda in the first place. There was just all these really redundant parts and tedious parts of my jobs where I just said, there has to be a better way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not spending time with my students. I'm not spending time like creating lessons for them. I'm doing all these kind of tedious, redundant tasks. And so I started searching for solutions, realized that there were none out there. And so ended up building solutions for myself on top of Coda. And then fast forward 5 years later, I fell so in love with Coda and was able to kind of generate enough business just through that I was able to kind of leave the education sector and kind of go full time Coda and be the Coda guy.
Amazing. Well, I,
Yeah.
I mean, fact that you both hate tedious tasks and clearly love teaching, automate all things is clearly the space for you. So I'm really excited
Yeah.
to kind of dive in here. I know we have a bunch of I've gotten a bunch of requests like, what is Coda? Like, is it a doc? Is it a database? Obviously, everyone's going to want me to compare Airtable to Coda. So I will try to not do that through the next 45 minutes, but that is probably the comparison point that I will
Okay
be
to ask
having.
questions too. I do some stuff with Airtable as well, so
This is a
questions are
it's
all
a no preference tool zone. People can use whatever they want. So I'd love to know in the chat for folks knowing, where are you in your kind of Coda journey. So I know that Penny knows nothing about Coda. Colleen already knows what packs are. So let us know in the chat where you are. We're gonna start from scratch, but because you guys join live, we're gonna kind of adapt based on people's skills, maybe go a little further, change the use case a little bit. Welcome, Mark. Excited to have you here. So I guess maybe a good place to start, Scott, before we jump in is like,
Mhm.
what is the 30 seconds on Coda? What is it? How should people think about it?
Yeah, so Coda is the all-in-one doc, essentially the one tool that you, your business, or your team needs to run your personal and professional life. If people are familiar with Airtable or Notion, I would say it's kind of like taking the best of Airtable, the best of Notion, then plug some of like softer and a better user interface on top of it, add some different superpowers, and that's kind of what you have. So at its core, it is a relational database, but with a lot of integrations and kind of user interface, user experience elements that you can build on top of it to create docs that are as powerful as an app.
So, I mean, that's a high bar. If you're saying it's got the best of Airtable, best of Notion, software on top,
It's not on top of it. Yeah.
you're setting the bar very high for Coda as we jump in
Oh
here.
yeah.
So we've got Mark who knows nothing. So me and you, Mark, are on the same level in terms of Coda knowledge. So with that, I'm really kind of excited to jump in here. Scott, with that, appreciate the introduction. Thank you for giving us the high level for us noobs, and really excited to jump in. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Scott, that was our first step in this. So I am here on the homepage. We're going to talk about docs, pages, and then automations, and really kind of build an example throughout, which is imagining Scott wants to start a YouTube channel. So we're going to build Scott's doc page, not start. Start is the wrong word. Improve his YouTube channel. So that's going to be our use case.
Kind of start. I have a YouTube channel, but it has 0 videos. My videos are in works,
Yeah,
so
so
we can say
we'll if you can drop a link, if you can give me a link, we'll make sure you get your first subscribers here through the automate all the things. But
yeah,
so we're gonna
I
build
have
out our kind of use case here, and then kind of explain Coda as we go. So Scott, here I'm in the homepage. So give me like the organizing principle. Like, what is a doc? How should I think about it? What are my first steps in Coda here?
yeah, so Docs, you probably maybe think of this workspace similarly to a Google Drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a place that's simply storing and housing different distinct documents.
Got
I think sometimes people come and they try to make this all-in-one doc where like, I'm gonna have one doc
it.
that's gonna be my task and my project management and my meal list and my team
Right.
wiki, and that's not the way to go about Coda. I really encourage people to structure their docs functionally.
Hmm.
So you should have a distinct function or tool, similar to your phone, right? Your phone doesn't just have one app that does messaging and calling and finances and banking, right? You have different apps that have different distinct jobs or functions.
Got it.
So I encourage people to structure their docs the same too. You
Okay.
have a doc, distinct function.
So let's say, you're saying I would create a new doc for, let's start from scratch. I know there's some templates, but we like
Definitely
to
from scratch.
stretch. And this would be kind of your content doc, right? So you're saying, okay,
Yeah.
everything around content for Scott Weir's, massive YouTube business. So let's call this
Yeah.
content.
Anything that has to do with my YouTube channel
Is going to be
whatsoever,
here.
I'm keeping one doc. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that makes sense. And so I am now in a doc, and I am going to be, what am I looking at here? Is this age? I
Yeah.
don't see any
You are
data.
looking
Like,
at
yeah, how should I think about this first step?
So you have three kind of main sections there. On the far left, you have your sidebar, your left-hand sidebar. That's where your different pages will live. So
Okay.
there's that little button you can press that says add. You can add a new page.
Okay.
You don't have a limit on the amount of pages, and then you can nest your pages essentially infinitely as well. So you can have pages nested within pages, nested within pages. That sidebar is just for navigation.
Hmm,
Once you click on a page, what you see in the main middle section there, that is your page.
got it.
And then on the far left, you kind of have an insert bar, but normally I keep that X'd out and closed.
Okay. You're just like that. You're like whatever.
Yeah, you
So
don't need that.
so I could just write text here, but I
Yeah.
imagine, that's
So
one of these elements that we saw. So I
Coda
can write
has
text.
two main elements, and that's why I keep that sidebar closed. You can
Okay.
open it back, insert. But Coda has two main elements. You've got structured and unstructured content.
Got it.
Structured content is tables. So the basic building block of Coda is a table. So you can press that backslash and then start typing table, enter, and now you have a table.
Damn. Boom.
There's your
Okay.
table.
So,
So this is one of the basic and most foundational pieces of what Coda is a table.
and should I think of this table the same way I think about an Airtable table, in the sense of, it's got rows. I guess I would call them records, but in this case, they're called rows. And I have
Mhm.
columns for the different elements,
Fields.
fields I want to track for those. So how, if we're actually building out this use case, would this be like your videos, right? Would you imagine like the
Yeah.
videos you want to create? That is our
Mhm.
table, and it lives within this kind of content page, and that's our
Yep.
first piece of structured information.
Yes. And this table is, and so the right nomenclature is specific. This is a table. That's what Coda calls it, but it is a database.
Got it.
And so each row is a distinct record. It's a distinct item. And
Right.
then it has X amount of columns and fields. Very similar Airtable. You can choose the field type, whether it be text, date, person, formula. If
Got
you
it.
go to the top, there's a column type, number,
Yeah. I'm gonna do my
button.
reflex the same. I like how all these tools have merged, and that, like, I like to delete all of these. Like, let's just start with our
Game
primary
fields.
field. And then let's spend a little time here. Actually, like, okay, let's imagine your videos, right? So I don't know. Do you have ideas of what you want your videos to be? Like,
Yeah,
you don't have
totally.
to. You don't have to spoil, but I think people will
I
want to know
do. My
before they
first
see
one is
it.
going to be my first one is actually going to be there's an Airtable pack for Coda, so you can sync all your Airtable data in. And my first video is going to be on how to use the Airtable pack.
How to use Airtable Pack for Cook. Man, you're just coming in here blazing. It's like instantly how to get off Airtable, which is fine. Which is fine. It's totally cool. It's totally cool. I'm not gonna lose my job over
Or
this.
how to make them work together,
There you
because
go.
I'm
I like that.
the ways I'm using them is to extend
The
the
best of both.
capability.
Best of both.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's give two others. You have some ideas for other videos.
Yeah, I'm gonna there's a fantastic the most important formula in Coda if you're gonna learn is filter.
Okay.
After filter, it's filter, and then after that, you've got to learn filter again.
Got it.
So
Okay.
filter is by far the most important Coda formula. So I'm gonna do one on
Mm-hmm.
filter, and then I'll probably do one on a doc walkthrough. So I'm gonna walk through one of the coolest docs that I've made. And kind of gonna walk people through it to give best practices and principles. So those are three that I have coming up.
Okay. And so we could add new, but let's kind of think of like, okay, what are the different fields? I guess I'm gonna have to change my columns, right? So, status maybe. Okay, no, then is this
Yeah.
a single select? How should I think about being able to
So
create a drop
the
down.
best way to do it is to house them in another table, but the easiest way to do that is first go to select list,
Select list.
uh,
Yep.
press new. Once that pops up, it says selectable items. So just type in idea, comma, planning, comma, um, published. There's 3 statuses.
Got it.
Down below, it says convert to table. Press that button and then do a new page. It's easier to structure things in a new page. And then press create.
So these would be statuses. Table
Mm-hmm.
name would be status.
Yep. And so
Okay,
now you'll
now
see on the left
oh,
sidebar. And now if you need to add any new statuses or if you want to color them, you would do that in the status page
okay. So if I
itself.
have a recording one now,
Mhm.
I could add it
And
here
now
and
that'll
put it like
show up.
this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then planning, and let's say this one is not. And
Yeah.
then okay, I have questions that I'm already kind of thinking ahead, but let's do 2 more fields. So let's do like a publish date, right? I imagine
Yeah.
I can get a
Target
date.
date, maybe.
Yeah, let's do that. Boom. Expected publish.
And,
I'm man. Your YouTube channel is gonna. You're publishing, man. I hope you're ready. You got some tight deadlines here.
and then I would do a canvas column. So
A
do another
canvas
canvas column.
column. What is that?
So a canvas column is essentially it's you can't think of it like an Airtable long field text, but you kind of can. It's a
Okay,
long field text field, but in that field you can put more tables, calendars,
tables in my
embeds.
tables. Okay, so
It's
this is like a
essentially like
free
a
form. It's almost like a rich text field, but I have more
yes, it's almost
options.
like a whole page within itself that exists in a row. So
Yeah.
it's your way to house unstructured data,
Okay.
aka just like randomly typing notes or tables or pictures or commenting with people, but in a structured fashion, aka it's connected to a
Right.
distinct record.
Got it. And would you
Mhm.
imagine using this as like a script or research? Like
Yeah.
what is
So probably just like random planning, random
random stuff?
ideas.
Okay,
Maybe there is
random.
a script or an outline place. Maybe there's resources or like someone's done a similar video and I just link it to
Right.
remember.
Okay,
And
so
that's
it's like notes. It's almost like a notes field. You're gonna put everything
totally.
in there. So just note there's some construction above me. So let me know in the chat if it gets a little noisy, and I will not do much. I'll just know and I'll mute myself more often. So let me know in the chat. Okay, so we have this. So this,
Mhm.
okay, I like this idea of like notes. I can kind of open this and just, add images and other tables. So I like this idea of like structured and unstructured data together. Um, Now let us know in the chat if we're going too quickly, too slowly. I want to make sure we're kind of giving folks the right intro right at the right speed for their level. So I see the Notion part, right? I can be like, hey, this is our content calendar for YouTube for the next 6 months, and I could do a page where I explain how our YouTube workflow is. I have my little content calendar right here. The first question you mentioned at the beginning was, or I mentioned, was like you can create relationships between your tables. We've already kind of done that here, right?
Mhm.
But what if I want to create a set of tasks or action
Mhm.
items for each video that I can then be like, yes, I did this, I did that, but I want to be
Mhm.
able to relate the videos to their action items.
Yeah. So let's make another table. So for visual purposes, let's just make it under there. Normally I would keep it in a separate page,
Okay. Table,
uh, blank table,
blank table.
and then maybe call it video tasks. And now maybe make that initial one where it says name, make that column called connected video.
Connected.
And
Okay, so you're actually setting, there's no concept of primary field here.
there is, so see that little like bookmarky thing next to connected video?
Yeah.
That is called a display column. That's Coda's kind of language for its primary column. You can
Gotcha.
change the display column as well.
Okay, got it.
I think similar to Airtable, they recommend that each one be completely unique.
Right.
And you can do that by concatenating different information to it if
Okay.
there might be.
Damn. If you're an Airtable user, you're like, well, this feels very natural, very like at home. So here would every one of these be a task, right? So I could be like,
Yes, so each one of these would be a task, but in that connected video, we're going to make that a lookup column. So this is a new type of column called a lookup.
okay, can you tell me
Um,
why we're doing that?
because we're going to relate it. It's a relational database. So this allows us to relate and say, hey, this task is related to, and now you get to choose what task your video is related to.
Okay, so I'm saying this task, let's say we only do your first video. So how to use Airtable for Coda. I'm doing that 3 times.
Yeah, so there's some automated ways to do that, but that is the basic structure. So now you would, if you view it like that, now you have 3 tasks
Right.
that are connected to that video. And we
Okay.
can then pull those tasks back into the videos table.
Okay, got it. So let's say I want to do, okay, task 1 is to write script.
Mhm.
Task 2 is to record video. That one's harder than like publish, right? Publish. So,
There you go.
and then maybe I have like a checkbox. Can I turn this into a checkbox? Checkbox.
Yeah.
Boom. And then let's just do that. I think that's like a good place to start. Let's maybe do one task for another one. I'm just curious. So like, let's do the filter formula and script. Let's do that. So we have 4 tasks. Now, you mentioned I'm able to see the tasks that are related to each video in its native table. How would I do
Yes.
that?
Pull that in via the filter formula. So make a new column and then call it a formula. So all the way down at the bottom, it says formula. There you go. And now you're going to write video tasks. You're referencing the table. So you're saying,
Referencing the
hey,
table. Yeah.
now you're going to say dot filter. So dot is their way of chaining. So you're saying, hey, filter says, I want to go look through that table. I want to filter it and find specific rows. Inside your parentheses, you're going to define what rows you want to find.
Right.
You want to find rows where, and then say connected task or connected video is equal to this row.
Well, okay, sorry. So what I'm saying right now, I'm just going to take it step by step because this is new to me, and I think this is the important part and why you're going to do a whole video on it. So make sure to folks to subscribe to. So I'm going to go drop. Now's a good time. Now's a good time because if you don't get
I dropped it in the chat earlier.
and I just dropped it. I just dropped it in everyone's chat. So everyone go subscribe to Scott's channel. So okay, let me just take this one step slower. So you're saying if I do video tasks, filter nothing, it's just bringing every single element in that table.
Yes. So it is a list, or if you're
an array.
Coding all, it's an array.
Okay. And
so
then
right now it's just pulling every item from there.
And so then I want to say, okay, filter this connected list by
yeah, and we can choose any criteria we want, right? We could say where the task starts with the letter W, right? We could do just like silly stuff, but we want to find out where it's connected to that. So connected video is equal to
this row.
And then this row. And then there you're done. You did it.
Okay, and then that makes sense. So it is a little, there's no, it's like it's saying they're connected, but in order to surface that connection, so these would be called tasks.
I would call that all tasks.
And then I'm able.
What I would do is I would actually hide it.
Okay. Why would you tell me? What are we before you're doing? Tell me why are we doing this?
Okay, because we want to. How does the user experience these videos, and how do we make it work in a natural way? Eventually, that's going to get really big, right? Even maybe for some projects or videos, I might have 30 or 1. It's just going to be complicated. So we want our rows to be the same height. That can be hidden, and we're going to create a different way to surface those in a way that is natural and easy. So
okay, tell me more. So how would I do that? So I'm hiding this one.
Hide it. Yep, right up in the middle.
There we go. Basically. Yeah. Okay. Then it's restructuring.
Now,
yeah.
There is similar to Airtable, how you can kind of expand a field into like a detail. We can do that here. So if you go all the way to the left of the table by the record, that little pop-up. Great. So now we're actually going to have to, we get to an Airtable, it's just natural. It's just like, this is how it is. In Coda, you can really define what this area looks like. So we're actually going to edit this layout to make it awesome.
Cool.
So the top snowman at the top right.
Snowman. Okay, edit layout. Okay, cool. Is that the official tech?
Snowman?
Think so. Okay, we're calling it Snowman.
So this is kind of where you get to do a lot of things. You can even change like how titles are, things like that. So essentially on the far right, it shows you which columns are hidden and unhidden. You want to unhide tasks.
I want to unhide tasks. Okay.
There we go. And now it already is. You can see it's already displayed as a table. We want that.
Oh, I got it. So I was showing them like this before. So you're saying show my my array of tasks as a table itself. That way I can like in here just instantly see. That's really cool. Hey Trip, good to see you. So I like this idea of like in the record or the row you would call it, I can see my connected table as a table and I'm able to act on this. And I'm also able to like kind of go in here. So if I go out of the view, I think
Yeah,
here,
so press done because now you edit it. So now open one of those tasks again.
yeah, and then I could
Now you should be able to
open.
see, and then you can modify that table however you want. So
Got
you
it.
can filter that table that's inside the details so it only shows ones that are complete or
Right.
incomplete. You can add colors, you can like interact with
Mm,
it, you can add new columns. So it's
got
just
it.
like a real table now there that always dynamically updates. And you can add new tasks as well. So right from this view, now I can just press new row and add a new task for this video.
Okay, got it. Because I'm centered in that video view. So if I have create thumbnail, it should
Mhm.
probably come before publish. Oh, I can't. Can I move it? No, I would have to move it.
Mhm, or you could define a sort, like, make sure all my done ones are on the bottom or my done
Right.
ones are hidden.
Got it.
And then each one of those is poppable too. So then I can pop that one out as a distinct task and could have a notes section attached to that too. And
Exactly.
then yeah.
Okay. So let me just wrapping up like the what is the basics of Coda. So Coda has pages. Pages can
Mhm.
hold two types of information. They can hold unstructured, free form, random thoughts, images, things like that,
Embed,
documentation. Right,
images, links.
exactly.
Yep.
And then I can also have the structured part, which is, I have a table that has relationships, and these could be their own
Yeah.
pages, and that's what you recommend. But also, we're able to connect these even if they're, across our
Mhm.
doc. So,
And
yeah, go ahead.
one more thing I didn't get to bring up, another thing that Coda has that's really powerful are Canvas formulas. So any of the formulas available within tables are also available in the Canvas.
Okay,
So you can essentially summarize data above my videos with formulas. So if you could essentially draw out and say like how many videos are done, how many videos have incomplete tasks, how
got it.
many incomplete tasks, and those all could be viewable in like a beautiful little
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we'll
summary
get into
task.
that. I think you have an example at the end. I do want to get
Mhm.
into that as like this idea of summarizing table as their individual units, right? Is that correct? So you can say, like, I want a big number here that says, tell me how many tasks are done, right? And
Mhm.
that's kind of
Totally,
like
yeah,
a,
and you can draw those out via formula in the canvas.
okay, cool. That's very cool. Okay, so before I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. So with that, I think we've just covered doc basics. So doc basics can take structured, unstructured information. So now talk to me. Let's say I want to add a page, and similar to what you're saying, that just says, okay, show me tasks that are not done, right? So maybe like I'm gonna call this like things to
Mhm.
do. Right, I guess maybe
Yep.
that's like I need a way of visualizing different elements of my tables in a page that gives me like the core of what I need to be working on.
Yep. So it's very similar again to Airtable. You can create different views of a table, right? That is filtered or has different conditions or is grouped. And so you can create as many views of our original our task table, let's say, for example.
And
So
how would I? It was it just a deep
I would
like
you could just type in table again, and then it gives you the option to create a new table or to pick from a old one. So I would pick tasks.
okay, got it. So it's saying, oh, okay, I'm connecting this
Mhm.
table. So okay, I see what you mean.
That's a view. And now you can also see there it has a little chain link too. So it's saying, okay, this is like connected to another table. This is a view of, and if you click on that chain link, it kind of shows you the doc map to say, hey, I'm connected to that table.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so this is so let's call this um,
Things to do.
outstanding tasks, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
Or we connected to the wrong table. We should be connected to the task table here. So
I
let's
think that is the task table, right?
no, this is the task table. Sorry.
Mhm.
Outstanding tasks. No, my bad. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh, can I close the agenda? Man, thank God Colleen is there. Colleen always saving my butt. Thank you so much, Colleen. So what I did there is I created a page. I added
Yeah.
a table. Here on the right, we see what it's connected to. Um, if I had $1 for every time Colleen has told me to remove the agenda, I'd be a very very poor
You'd have a
man.
lot of dollars.
Colleen would have a lot of dollars, that's for sure. So um, now this is just my original table. So how do I go about saying only show me tasks? I'm gonna
So
call
go to
this
that options, and the options will show a lot of new things that we can talk about.
options.
First
Okay.
of all, at the top, this displays in different ways. And so cards are very similar to like Airtable cards. You can show it as a calendar,
Hmm.
just like an Airtable calendar, right? So there's different options and ways you can show a table. including word clouds, charts, and all sorts of other fun stuff.
Okay.
But we're going to choose filter right now because we want to show different or only a certain type of record, right? And we want to show it where the status is unchecked.
Okay, we're selecting the unchecked. We're not
Yeah.
checking. Yeah, okay, got it. So this would just be
Something
done.
fun about Coda, though, I would delete that actually right now, and I'm going to show you a different way to do it
You would
that's
just
more
clear.
dynamic.
We're removing this filter.
Press the little trash can. See the trash can?
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay, so now go to your status column
Yeah.
itself in the table, select it, and then select filter, and then select interactive filter, and then create new, create control. So now above there, you can hard code your filters in, so it's like
Right.
users can't change them, or you can create things that are interactive so that right above the table, now it's showing only unchecked. But if you check that little guy up there above the table,
Whoa, whoa,
so go
whoa.
above the table.
Above. Oh, status equals. Okay, got it. Got it. Got
Oh,
it. Okay, got
right.
it.
So Coda can have interactive filters, so the user can come and define in an easy way, like which ones do I want to see? You
Got
can
it.
do search boxes, you can do,
Hmm.
what that is, you can do really kind of conditional things too. So
Yeah.
like if this is checked and it happens to be Wednesday, then show tasks that are right. You can just keep
Right.
defining logic to make your views
Very interesting.
even whittled down to the day of what they would show.
Okay, cool. So this is like let the user kind of decide.
The
You
user
can be
decide.
also have like a pick. Imagine like show tasks that are mine or
Mhm.
show, and
Yep.
then this is like a live table, right? So I can do like status. Okay,
And
it
that'll
filters
filter it
it
out.
out. Okay, and then if we go back into our content table, we see that that is updated, and we can come back here, and then that's really cool. So you do have this concept of views, and views live in pages, but aren't necessarily hard coded and can be kind of selected from. So that's really really cool. So I think
Mhm.
I do want to do quickly before we jump into automations like a calendar view. So just because that as someone who creates content, like calendars are where I live. So I would go into table
Uh-huh. Do a task then.
videos, I guess, right? I
Sure.
want to do that, and then a
Yep.
calendar.
Boom, you did it.
I did it. Congrats me. Those are actually pretty
So
easy.
now you'll
Okay.
see that down there, and that's clickables. You can click on those and it pops it up,
Hmm.
and it pops it up like that. You can also define different layouts. So like you could have a specific calendar layout for this that pops up different information.
Hmm.
You can also view your calendar by week or day.
Got
Um,
it. Okay.
do a kind
Default
of
end date. Okay, so it's got a lot of like configuration to make the
yeah,
calendar.
depending on how you want to view your calendar
Got it.
for
Okay,
sure.
let me close that. Okay, so we've created our calendar. We're able to update this, and then this is another view of our. This is one view, so this would be calendar.
Mhm.
This is essentially saying this view is built out of the videos
Mhm.
table. So, I now see why you would say, okay, create tables as standalone pages, right? So you don't have like one page
Yeah, so
with 50 tables that then you're like
I
everything gets mixed up really fast.
I always create essentially like 2 large buckets. There's the front end and the back end. The
Right.
front end, each page is functionally specific. Like this page is used for X, Y, and Z. And the back end has just like I always keep all my columns unhid. So it's a way for me to be able to come in, easily edit or update my tables without messing up where my users are using, right? If they're using this content calendar, I don't want to have to change that to a table to edit it. So you should always have like an edit zone and a works. I'm doing stuff.
Okay. That makes sense. So I think with that, like, I think I now have like a really good understanding. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Like, what we've just done is essentially say, okay, you can create a new page or an existing page. You can pull in data from your tables as views, right? And you're able to edit and it'll update everywhere. So similar to that ability to do that in Airtable. I know we're comparing to Airtable and it's just what you know, right? So you're always kind of that starting point. Um, this is the part where I'm most excited about. As you know, automate all things. We're really into automation. So, Scott, maybe before we jump into like actually automating something, can you talk about how does automation work from a
Yeah.
theoretical point of view in Coda, and then we'll do the example where we want to auto create tasks from
Yeah.
a video that goes into planning, for instance.
Yeah. So automation is a big subject. It's the reason I got into Coda to begin with. My initial task that I had to automate that got me into Coda was collecting teacher feedback. And so I had to collect feedback from teachers on students' performance,
Hmm?
but I had to like contact, 40 some odd teachers a week. And then I had to track down teachers who didn't respond to me and be like, please get this back. I have this meeting coming up. I had to aggregate the responses. And so it was a really tedious process. So automations are done in a lot of different ways. One is there are specific automations, which would be familiar to Airtable. If you go to the cog wheel in the top right,
So I'm in the, doesn't matter what page I'm in, I'm just saying cog wheel.
yeah, it's your general automations. The first one is automations.
Okay.
And now you can add a rule. And then you have triggers, just like Airtable, but they're like the row change. So essentially when something's edited, a time base. So every day, every
Hmm.
hour, every Wednesday. And then there's a new one that actually launched like 2 days ago with a webhook.
Oh, had I known we would have gone straight to webhooks, but we're not going to do webhooks. I am breaking one of my rules, which is always do webhooks. We're just going to do. So it seems like there are three. So like things that happen in Coda, things that are based
Mhm.
on time, things that happen outside of Coda that you can pull in with a webhook.
Yep.
Right. So row change is that includes row created, I guess. Right.
Sometimes.
Okay. Okay. Let's do videos.
Still
We're
working
saying,
out on it.
yeah, you're still waiting on a proper when row created.
I would still win a proper one. There's some like silly workarounds you can do to make it work.
Yeah.
But yes, I would love a proper just when row is created, do this thing.
So we want to
Maybe a date.
Omkar is a good point. I need to create an automation that lets people close. I will actually work on that and let Colleen be the person who closes my. I will give one of you the power to open and close my agenda, and the only person I trust is Colleen. But maybe we can like give that away to other people so they can mess around with the stream. But okay, so we're saying any. I want when the
Maybe.
select list changes,
Sure.
but could I say only when the select list is this specific value?
Yeah, so do select list first, and then we'll create an if condition. Add a
Oh, got it, got
condition.
it, got it. Okay, we're saying
And now
if.
you reference that. It says return step one result. So you'd say if step one result and then equals to, or you could say, if you wanted to do two, you could say contains, like if it contains planning or published.
Okay, but then
Equal
but then
is
I
just
need I
defining
need the field, right? So I need to say step one result dot
dot select list.
select list equal
Yep.
to planning.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay, so this is saying, okay, this is quite some it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. So it's essentially saying if you go to step one result, go to the value of select list, check if it's equal to planning, and then
Then
if
it will run if it is planning.
and then returns true or false. So if that's true, then
So
we
it's
want
gonna
to.
Coda's just gonna listen to that select list column every single time it changes. And Coda's just gonna say, hey, did you change it to planning? If so, then I'm gonna run our automation.
Got it.
And if
And
not,
got it. Okay. And then in terms of actions, right, there's that
yes.
same. So we're saying add a row. You can add or modify rows, which I guess imagine
Mhm.
checks, duplicate page, set control value, push button, notify, and refresh. And then there are packs.
And packs are a big one. So packs all have actions too. So like, for example, the one that I used as a teacher was the Gmail. So it was an automation that would send an email, a formatted email with links and things like that to teachers to collect feedback.
Okay. So I want to dig into more packs in a moment, but let's go ahead and
Mhm.
create our basic kind of, I want to go ahead and create a row in this video task. So I want to go ahead and add a row in the video tasks table. And then essentially I'm saying, okay, so I want the connected video to be step one.
Step one result. Step one result. Yeah, because you want the row value.
And then how do I take.
Yeah, so that's a static value. So if you want to formulaic or to dynamically, you're going to press equals to basically open up the
Oh
formula.
shit. Okay, that's a you gotta know type thing. Right? I was like, you gotta be like a Scott. You gotta know that was possible. So
And
I'm
so what's important too right there is look at next to step one result, it has those like three little squares.
square
So
here.
see there's
Yeah.
like step three result has a T. So those are values. It's telling you the value of that
Mm,
thing. So it would have a 1, 2, 3 if the value was a number value, or it would have like a
right.
little calendar if it was a date. So that one right there is a row value. That means step one result contains the entire record's value.
But then I have a question for you.
Mhm.
How do I tell it to link this together? Like what is it the ID? Is it the name? How do I say, okay, for the value of connected video, put the like this right here, right? Because this is like is all the fields, I guess. So do I just put step one result like that and it'll understand?
That is taking the row values. So, because on your video tasks where you did connected video,
Yeah.
see how it has that same like row chip value? That is that little like chip means like I'm a row value.
Okay, got it. Got it. So if I just do step one result, this should
You're
work
fine.
properly.
But yeah,
But
so this is generally how you would set up automations.
okay.
If I was going to have templated tasks, like every time a video is created, add these 8
Right.
tasks
Yeah,
to it,
exactly.
I would not go through an automation.
Okay, let's do this one, and then I want to learn how you would do it. So this is the newbie way, right? Not the pro way, not the Scott Weir way. So I would do task, right? And I would say, okay, this is write script, and oh, I don't need another step. Let's, and then I would do then multiple times, right? So I would, let's just
Yeah.
do one more, maybe.
Well, you
Am I
no,
wrong?
you could, but there's a way better way to do this.
Let me.
And we can
I
do it through this automation field too. So actually, let's do it through the automation field, but I'm going to show you how to essentially create a template to say, these are my 8 tasks that should every time. And it will take all those 8 and add them at once. And then you can modify your template easily. So, oh, now I want a 9th task. And then it would add all the 9ths in.
Okay, so let's run this one. I'm curious to see how it works. So now I've just done twice, right? So my idea here is let's test
Mhm.
this, and it's created. Oh, did it not? Does it not run? Oh,
It
oh, it
failed
wasn't.
on.
Oh, it failed because it wasn't planning. Okay.
So you could turn it on and then you could change it to planning.
Yeah,
Change
you're
when to
very
plan.
confident. You're like, oh, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. So
Well,
how?
maybe your screen's pretty fuzzy, so I can't see too much. So
So let's see. Let's go planning, and so
sure.
that should run the automation.
Yeah, so you can go to activity too and see if it's going to run. So Codas run. Sometimes people ask me like, "Hey, why does it take so long to run?" Well, when you run an automation, you're basically putting it in line with the rest of the world's automations on Coda's servers. So sometimes automations run almost instantly. Sometimes they take about 10 seconds because there's a lot of people in line who are waiting for their automations to be run.
Oh, I didn't know that. So this is like, and if I upgrade to the paid, does it go faster?
Nope, it does not.
Oh, okay. So we are actually waiting for this to run.
Yeah, unless it already ran. Go down and see.
But it did not run. Did it break?
It's hard to see your screen.
You can make it full screen. You can double click on it.
And would it become clear?
I think so.
No, it's still really fuzzy, but I can see some stuff. So how about, and this is why
Oh, there we go. It
there
worked.
you go. Look at that.
Okay.
You waited in line.
Confetti. Boom.
Um,
That was a stressful moment.
there
So
must have been a lot of people in line at this moment. It must be a
exactly.
popular automation time. So
Everyone's
you waited
building
in
on their
line
side as
for
well.
about 15 seconds in Coda service.
Okay, cool. So we built the automation. So Amir has a great question. I want folks to drop their questions. I'm going to dedicate some time for Q&A because I do want to kind of talk about how we do that second way of automating, right? So this is a little clunky because every time we want to add a new step, we need to go ahead and update this automation. And you're saying that there's a better way to do it. And do you think you can show us that in a quick? So talk to me about what it is. How does it work? What's
Okay, so
conceptual?
there is a formula within Coda called FormulaMap. FormulaMap essentially allows you to iterate over a list. It would be the same as like a for loop in JavaScript, but it's
Okay.
essentially saying, "Hey, give me a list, and I'm going to run a unique action on that entire list." So essentially, you make a list of items. You make a list of the 8 tasks that go along with the video, and you just house that in a table.
Okay. So let's do that really quickly. Let's do a table, and then we'll
And
call
you can even
this.
just call it task 1, task 2, task 3. You
Yeah,
can call
yeah.
it
Let's just
template
do that.
tasks.
Okay. Blank table. We're gonna call this template tasks. Task 1, task 2, task 3, and let's delete all the rest.
Yeah. If you want to save time, you don't have to delete them, but
This is just like it's by at this point, this is like I can't stare at a table that has column 1, 2, 3 or
right.
status, whatever.
Let's just do task 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Now, what I would do is, and you could do this via an automation or via a button.
Okay.
For our wonderful purposes, let's do it via a button. So go back to your videos table and create a button.
close this out. So I'm creating a button, and I'm a big fan of buttons. So this is
Now, I
exciting.
would actually, so your button you can do a pre-action, or you can define your action via a formula with that little F on the top right above action.
Okay.
We're actually going to manually do it. So we're going to first create the list of tasks. So we're going to say template tasks, and
Okay.
then dot tasks or dot name, whatever it had.
We called it.
Probably right.
Let me check at the bottom. We called this name. Yeah, we called it name.
So,
So that is that
right. So
first
right now
field.
you grab the whole table. Now we're just grabbing a list of tasks. And
Okay.
now that we have that, we're going to say dot formula map.
Formula map.
There you go. So basically what's happening right now is you grabbed a list of tasks that is dynamic, right? If you add a fourth, it would add the fourth for you. And what you're saying is, hey, run a action 3 times, because there's 3 tasks in there on each one. And so what the action is going to be is add row. So type in add row.
Oh, okay. So that is actually interesting. That is a formula.
It's a formula that's only available in a button, right? Because there's action-based
Right.
formulas, and then there's...
And then I want to go to
And
the
up there it
table.
tells you what parameters. So table, you want to add it to video task, comma, and then you want to say column task.
Column tasks.
And then you're going to reference the current value in the list with current value. So start typing in current and then select that.
Okay.
And then do another comma, because you want to define the video too. So connected video.
Connected video.
And then comma this row.
Okay, let me just read this. Oops. I want to read this to people.
There.
Okay, so I want to read this out for people to looking back, right? So let me zoom in here. Can I make this a little larger? Okay, so we're saying, this is actually interesting. So we're doing some JavaScript here without people. We're coders. This is coding. So essentially
Coda
we're saying...
very powerful formula language.
So I think actually for people who do understand a little bit of JavaScript, this will be familiar. So saying, go to the template task table. Take every single name field, right? So it's essentially saying every record, right? Map every single one of these to what we're going to do between these two, essentially for each do this. And then you're saying
each one of the list items do a certain thing.
And then that function is to add a row. And then adding a row has parameters, which is, okay, what table should we add this row to? What do you want the fields to be? So we're saying take the task field and give it the current value of the row, and then do the same thing for connected video. Now, and this is from the name table, and this is from the video table. Okay, let me know if that's clear, folks. I'm happy to spend a little more time at the end on this. And this is quite advanced. I like this. This gives people, and this could be triggered from a button. Okay, let's give us like a nice blue color.
Sure. And a little icon.
Okay, so you're saying if I do this, 3 rows added, boom.
Right, and that can add, like, I do that sometimes over thousands of items, and it just goes, boom, 1,000 items done.
Yeah. And then we don't have to wait for the servers, right? Because this is essentially...
Because it's all happening locally on your machine. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. That's really impressive, I must say. It's impressive, I think, for, like, once you get into that language, like, you understand that formula writing, which isn't necessarily accessible. And for folks who want to learn how to do this, subscribe to Scott's channel. There's going to be a video about this for sure.
I am not a coder at all. I do JavaScript now, like I've learned to code because of Coda. Right. So Coda itself has taught me to code. So my YouTube channel will be explaining a lot of these things, hopefully in a layman's terms, because I don't have that background.
Absolutely. And for folks who do want to learn how to code meets no code, we might do some Coda content there eventually. But so this is really cool. So I think now you've showed us 2 ways of kind of using automations. One is through, straight up automations, right? Like that, if this, then that type format. But you've also showed us using that button, which has an add row function that you can loop over a table, right? So this, I imagine you can even like update information, every item in a table or things like that, with a little bit of quote unquote coding in a formula. Now, to end here, before we get into Q&A, so now is a good time if you have questions for Scott or about Coda, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I want to show what that like next level examples look like. You mentioned you can add elements on a page that summarize tables that give you more of a front end, right? That softer part
Mhm.
of all of this. We've been so far focused on more of the back end part. So, um, as I'm bringing this up, kind of, Scott, speak a little bit to what is like an advanced use case here. What are we going to go into here? So I've got.
Yeah, I've got a lot of them, and I'm going to be doing more doc walkthroughs on my YouTube channel if you ever come. But like, I've replaced Calendly, like replicated the software of Calendly on top of Coda. People have created the classic Minesweeper game on top of Coda. Like, there's so many fun stuff you do. I think we're going to look at
Let me bring it
what
up.
I
I think
can.
I've. Let me just hide my browser here for a sec.
It was just like a, it's like a, this is just like a general project management one that
Yeah.
allows you to manage projects with associated tasks, which is very similar to what we just built, right? Projects, aka videos with associated tasks.
Okay. Yeah. So let me. Okay. There. Here we go. I brought it up. Sorry, folks. Okay. So okay. First difference I see is that there's this concept of like adding projects. This is that summarizing. I don't think we're going to go too into detail, but can you tell us like the big elements that are different here from, something that is like a beginner that we just built? Like, what are some of those elements that you think are more intermediate or advanced that we could show off here?
Go to project detail or press any of the detail buttons on those cards.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this here, like again, like you can just view this entire page as just showing the detailed version of one project. And you can use this filter up at the top to kind of choose a different project.
Okay.
Um, there might be some broken stuff on that filter. I've been rebuilding
That's
this
okay.
doc out a bit. So, but it allows you to then there's due date. It tells you the tasks remaining. So tasks remaining 31, right? That's one of those Canvas-based
Hmm.
formulas I was talking about. The ability to summarize. You've got a progress bar up there that's written via formulas, so showing you okay how many.
Mm.
Got a progress bar showing green, like how far along is this project by itself, which is also a rectangle formula. So I'm defining a
Wow.
rectangle formula that summarizes pieces. You've got, all the projects down there. You've got your interactive filters, so you can hide or show complete. You can only show high priority if you want.
Got it.
You can add tasks by themselves.
Do
There's a really, really advanced recurring task system that's wild.
you feel? Do you want to show it? Recurring tasks. Do you want to go
Sure,
ahead?
yeah.
Let's jump into it.
So just press new, add recurring task, and then go down to the bottom where it added it. And you're essentially, so now you're saying, okay, I want a recurring task for a project. So you
Mhm.
select a project, any project. This is all test stuff,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you.
So new task type.
And now go to recur schedule. And for example, choose monthly.
Mm.
Now you want to say recurs on and then see all your options. You can choose all, you can granularly define when you want it to recur on. You could choose third Wednesday and you could select as many of those as you want. You could also choose 18th. And then that will pull the third Wednesday of every single year or
Mm.
out of the entire year and only the future one. So it won't add for the past. And it will now add that task for every single Wednesday on your calendar,
Oh,
every
okay.
third Wednesday of the month.
And okay, and so for the rest of the year, it just added like
So it found the rest of the year. It took, hey,
very
what's
cool.
left in the year? I'm going to find every third Wednesday. I'm going to add that task for it.
I feel
And
like
so,
I feel like if we did a graph of like useful versus geeky, I'd give you like a 2 or 3 on usefulness, but I'd give you like a 12 on coolness and geekiness. So I feel like I don't imagine this use case. I'm sure it might have been one that popped up for
this
you.
was created for a client. So this was
Okay.
very specifically requested by a client who
Okay.
says, this is how our team works. We need to have a templated way to define recurring
Got it.
tasks. And
Got it.
so this was actually built for them.
Um, I feel like I would be a poor employee for that client where it seems very rigid. But it's good to know. I love that idea that it can be done. And so I think this is a good example of just the crazy flexibility that once you kind of dig in, possible. So
Yes.
we do have like 5 minutes here. So I just want to kind of get to Q&A. So
Someone can
uh,
check my video quality.
no, you're good. You're good. You look good. It's just me when I show you, it's a little less quality just to save on
Okay.
bandwidth. So that's actually on me. Um, so Amir, let me bring up Amir's little chat here. Um, 1 second. So Amir has a question. Pop that out. Okay. Amir's question is Any chance at the end we can touch on page and folder level permission for teams, including how to share information across docs?
Yeah. Um, I'll just generally speak, and then if there's follow-ups, I'll let you know. So there is, if you're on the team plan within Coda, so that's one of our paid tiers, or actually the pro, it's one of them, has locking. Locking has different granular permissions, so you can choose per page
Mm-hmm.
what editor's permissions are. Can I only view this page? Can I only use buttons and controls? Or do I have essentially like freedom over the entire page? And so you can, per page, set different locking controls on that. If you need even more, one of my friends, Jono, good old call it Jono, created a way to securely encrypt information
Mm,
inside of Coda. If you need it even more secure, there's also for security levels two, you can publish documents. And if you publish documents, there's different ways to kind of like hide information, such as hiding master search bars.
mm,
And then lastly, the most secure way to do it is to cross-dock. So cross-docking is a way where you can essentially pull out just sections of information from a doc and port it over to a new doc to be like a
mm.
portal.
Got
So if
it.
you only wanted your team to view just their tasks, essentially, you can make like a new doc that is always in sync with the other one, but
Right.
only has a slice of that information.
Okay, got it. Got it. And so a few questions, so Mark mentioned that, they're so used to Notion, but Coda is clearly better.
Yes.
But Colleen mentioned that there's a way to transfer from one to the other, which I think is a really good place to talk about packs.
Mhm.
So what is a pack? Does it go in groups? Is it,
Yeah.
what is a pack?
So you want to go to insert and then pack so we can at least have a visual.
Yeah.
Insert top right.
Insert. Let me just, okay, let's bring down that. Insert top right and then
Pack.
packs.
It's about fourth down. Yep. And so if you keep going down and down and down, there's a ton. So and you can see more. A lot of the packs connects to external services: Microsoft Outlook,
Okay.
FedEx, Typeform, Spotify, Weather, Jira, Notion. There's one for Notion, right? I've built about 8 of them. So I've built Jotform, Paperform, Canvas, Strava,
Okay.
um, all these fun ones. But essentially, it's a way to bring in information from other sources. So this will define what it can do, right? So from a Coda doc, you could create a page, you could get page properties, right? So you can either get data, pull in data, or you could manipulate data
Hmm.
inside of Notion as well. So that's essentially what packs are. This
So
is made by Leandro. He's a great dude.
so let me just kind of, if I understand correctly, if I install a pack,
Okay.
sometimes I could do have in my slash, I could have like create Notion page, right?
Yeah.
Or, bring in this. So essentially it's adding to what's possible here oh, I see it right here, Notion, right? So pack tables, got it. So packs.
Mhm.
So it actually augments your doc with other functionality that is brought in through the pack.
And the packs are great too because they aren't just built by Coda, but now it's open source. So if you were like, my team uses this software
Hmm.
and it doesn't yet have a pack, you can build it, or you can ask somebody like me to build it for you.
And then so you're kind of coding these packs.
Yeah, they're coded in JavaScript, but I think it's very accessible. Again, I don't have a background in coding, and I've built many, many packs.
Yeah, but now you have a
It definitely does take some learning.
background in Coda, which is just so close. It's
It
almost
is
coding.
it is very close.
Uh,
But yeah, so packs are really cool. It's a way to again integrate. That's why Coda wants to call himself the all-in-one doc, because it's like, well, even if you do depend on other software, you're able to bring in that data and kind of view it all in one place for your team.
Fantastic. Okay,
Mhm.
so last 30 seconds, last call for questions here. So I just want to kind of wrap this up. So folks, now is a good time. Okay, to just get some to-dos here. First, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Once you've done that, which I'm sure a lot of you have already done, appreciate it. Make sure to go to Scott's channel. He'll be releasing much more kind of Coda pack, and I hope he's been able to get you guys excited, or just kind of show you what's possible. So it's definitely one of those like interesting, uh, I would say middle grounds. If you're like very data and structured, maybe Airtable's for you. If you're like just like to write stuff and don't really care, Notion might be for you. But Coda has this middle ground that is actually very, very interesting, and especially with
Mhm.
packs, you can now augment and do so. Doesn't seem like we have more questions. So,
Yeah.
Scott, huge thanks. Any parting words? Oh, uh,
Last,
so
I
there's a
was just
question
gonna say,
from Mark. I just want to get to it. So, as a solo user, I'm really wanting to move into Coda. Would that benefit me as an individual, or is it better for teams? So, maybe talk a little bit about what type of people use Coda.
it's phenomenal for teams and for individuals. I started my first 3.5 years on it. I used it solely for myself. I got really into identifying plants. So I made this huge like plant identification list with pictures and images and where I found them in a huge database. I use it for myself professionally. I'm using it right now as a housing search to automate my emails to Craigslist rentals, and it's awesome. So yeah, you can use it personally, professionally, on a team, or individually.
So folks want to know where can they get more of Scott. So we did the YouTube channel, Twitter,
Yeah, Twitter's
Coda.
the best place right now. I'm just the Coda guy at the Coda guy. But my YouTube channel is launching soon. It's alive. It's there. You can find it. The link's there. So I'd love if you subscribe. But there are zero videos because it's very new. But my first one will be on the Airtable pack. So kind of how not to replace Airtable with Coda, but how to like. I think Coda is a phenomenal way to visualize your data from Airtable to build these really interactive, rich interfaces. And so that's mainly what I'm using it for. So I'm going to kind of show you how to use the Airtable pack to create really rich visualizations of your Airtable data in Coda.
Cool. So I'm going to go ahead
That'll
and
be my first video.
I've just subscribed. I'm your 10th subscriber. So make
Yes.
sure, folks, we want to see that number go up. So huge thanks to you, Scott. For folks, next week, we're going to be back with, what do we have on next week? Right. So we've got Jason on next week. I will actually be taking a 1 week break where I think it's next week. No, next week we're back with Jason. So we're going to talking about approval processes in Airtable for accountants, I guess, or just any approval. So Jason is fantastic. Then we've got more Stripe content coming. I've got Middle Link coming as well on the 15th, I believe. So lots of great content. Make sure you like and subscribe or do all that, good stuff. So Mark does it integrate with Obsidian. Just reach out to Scott on Twitter for that question. So Scott, huge thanks to you for coming. Can't wait to learn more about Coda. It definitely piqued my interest, and it seems like a lot of. Scott, I'll let you sign us off for today.
I don't know how to sign off,
Yeah,
but
it's
bye,
cool.
guys.
That's it. This is cool. That's an acceptable sign off. Thanks so much, Scott, for
Double
coming.
P's.
Thanks
Adios.
everyone for coming. Huge thanks, and have a great day, everyone. Bye.